down in the Paris of the Southwest, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and
Mhm.
you were I guess you were kind of all over the map down there. You were at the cross country championships in Stillwater, then you went
Mm,
over to Norman, watched
yeah.
the Bedlam game, and then you also were in Tulsa. So, how was how was Oklahoma? I should say, is just a broad spectrum. We can see if you're watching on the YouTube channel, go subscribe. You can see the OU hat in the background. Yep, there it is.
Right there, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Dylan, Oklahoma was really good. Um, that weekend it was cold in Minneapolis. It was what 3 degrees outside. Well, during the day down there, we had 35 and sunny with no breeze, no wind. It was perfect. You just need a sweatshirt, maybe a light vest on over that, but no major coat, no hats, no gloves, um, because that's just the perfect weather. And like you said, for the NCAA cross country championship, excuse me, 35 and sunny is perfect running weather. Um, but the one thing I did notice, you're speaking of your cousin Logan for tagging that deer in Montana this year. As we were driving through the state of Missouri, I noticed this: deer season did not go well for the people in Missouri because there was a lot of roadkill, a lot of dead
Ah,
animals, and
some
then
nice ones too, I'm guessing.
there were some good ones there. Yeah, some couple fresh ones that you could tell just got hit by a semi, and they were not expecting that. and and so I don't. Either the people in Missouri don't have good aim, or there was just a bunch of deer out there that they couldn't take them out this year. But the state of Missouri did not have a good deer season.
Wow.
I will say that
Wow,
for whatever that's worth.
that's unfortunate for the people of Missouri.
Mm,
I did give you an assignment to that we need a full recap preview. I shouldn't say preview. Review. That's the right word I'm looking for. It's still Monday
yeah.
when we record this, so brain's still recovering a little bit. Not all back to 100% recovered from the long weekend. Uh, but what? Let's hear this. The review of Gaylord Memorial Stadium.
Man, I tell you what, it is a beautiful stadium. It's a big stadium, and that's how college football should be. And the cool part about that is there's no parking lots around there. You don't have a 10-mile walk to get to the stadium. You look and let's say you're on campus and you have a chemistry class. Well, you walk 2 blocks north, and guess what? 85,000 foot football stadium. It's it's right in the heart of the middle of campus. But I tell you, it sticks out like a sore thumb because it's a tall stadium, and on both end zones it says, "Welcome to the University of Oklahoma." You're 7-time national champions. They really like to let the people know about that. Uh, the other side, they have a big clock that says "Welcome to Gaylord Memorial Stadium" on the outside. So it was cool. And you're right there. And another one interesting part about that is when we were down there, we actually parked about maybe 3/4 of a mile away from the stadium in like an elementary school. So, like I said, it's just you're right in the heart of Norman. And I think that's why the people of Oklahoma, love their Sooners because the school, you feel like you're part of the state. They're not like Duke, where these people they think they're better than everyone else and they don't fit the Raleigh Durham area. People from Norman and Oklahoma City, they love that school because that school is them. And it was really cool. We walked in on the south end of the stadium, and there was a big turf area with 4 statues, 2 to my left and 2 to my right. And there were 4 statues, Dylan, of all the coaches who have won a national title at the University of Oklahoma. And the two that we would remember the most were Barry Switzer and Bob Stoops.
Yep.
And the cool part about that was is on the side of each of these statues, it said their record at the school. It gave them a nice long biography, record at the school, how many All-Americans they've coached, their winning percentages, if they coached any Heisman Trophy winners, what the state of Oklahoma means to them and what they've meant to this program. So, they if you're royalty down there, they take care of you. And then also is the same end zone where the recruits came in to visit. And we got there nice and early because we wanted to take it all in. And um, that looked like they were going to the trenches that night for their recruiting visit, because I saw a couple offensive linemen and a couple defensive linemen and linebackers for OU that night at Bedlam. And then also what was cool is on the other outside part of the stadium, as you're just kind of walking down the sidewalk around, you see there's a bronze statue of all 7 Heisman Trophy winners. The year they won the Heisman, their stats, that final year their record was at the school, and it's cool. It was because the ones we recently would see a lot of were Jason White, Sam Bradford, and then Baker Mayfield.
Kyler.
And Kyler's wasn't built yet.
Oh, okay.
So these statues, Dylan. They're probably 7-8 feet tall, so they're a lot of work. And actually, the Baker one was just done this past April.
Oh, okay.
But they do have a spot in that same grass area reserved for Kyler's. That's going to go right next to Baker's. They're going to take a little time to build that.
Ah, gotcha. Because
You
do they have somebody build that at a different location and then they transport it in, or is it built in that spot from the ground up?
it's built somewhere else, and they
Okay.
transport, because it's also on a cement slab that's probably about 3 feet tall. So they put the slab on the ground and they put the statue for the player on top of that. And it was really cool. The one with Baker, they got it right because they had his headband on there.
Ah, okay, nice.
And if you remember when they played in Bedlam in 2015 against Oklahoma State, it was a little cold down there in Stillwater. They had his pocket warmer on his vest too.
Okay.
The patent, where Baker, to keep his hands warm there.
Yep.
And again, they're proud of their history, because when you walk into the stadium, on the side of where the press box is, well, you have one on the left. Where I was looking at it, we were on the Oklahoma State side, so when I was looking at it on my left, you had the big OU logo and then the Jordan logo on the right hand side. They're proud of that, but then also, again, they let 7-time national champions, 7 Heisman Trophy winners, and then they have their, however many All-Americans and conference championships and everything like that. But so to get to our seats, you came into the stadium, and it was pretty neat. We were like section 228, and it's a very steep stadium. So instead of having an elevator or stairs, they almost had they had a ramp that you would walk up. Just a slight incline, back and forth, kind of like a stairwell. Well, this stadium was so steep, Dylan, I kid you not, we probably had 16 different ramps we had to walk up to get to our seats. And they were each of those ramps were probably 100 foot long.
Oh man. Whew.
Oh,
You got your steps in.
I calculated it. I think it took me over 1,000 steps to get from the bottom of that stadium to the top.
Oh man.
Like, this is just ridiculous, because after 3 or 4 levels, I was like, this is kind of taking a while. We're not that high off the ground. And I pulled my phone out, and let's say for an easy number, I was like 19,300 steps for the day. Well, we get to the top, and it's like your final steps for the day at this point are 20,200, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And your feet are starting to hurt a little bit, and now you're thinking, when is this going to end? Like, I didn't sign up to get all this exercise in today. But then it was cool because you got up to the top there, and they had plenty of restrooms, and they had 4 or 5 different spots to get food, so you didn't have to fight with the congregation. And another part that I really liked for our seats, normally it says, hey, you're section 228, come here. If you're 229, come here, and you don't know which side to go on. It's like,
Yep.
oh, am I gonna have to walk across 30 people or not? Well, the way they have it set up at Memorial Stadium, it says if you're at section 228, seats 1 through 7 or 1 through 8, go by these stairs. So then you're not walking across 50 rows of people if you have to go to the restroom all the time. So that was kind of cool. So then you didn't have to think about it like, well, what the heck's going on here? What are we doing? And then you get to our seat, and then what took me away was how big their jumbotron was. To my left, I mean, it was It had to have been 150 feet wide, 200 feet wide. I mean, this thing was huge. They had, on the far left hand side, they had the team, both scoreboards, and then in the middle was just a huge screen where they were showing, actual video of the game. And then another cool part was is we got there early enough before warmups, they were showing other games throughout the country.
Oh,
So
that's
you,
sweet.
yeah, so you could watch, Ohio State was playing Maryland, Iowa was playing Minnesota. I just can't. Clemson was playing Miami, so they were just kind of showing other games throughout the country before the OU and OSU players came onto the field for their warmups. And that was kind of cool because people they know, hey, people want to get here 90 minutes before kickoff to beat the 85,000 people who are going to be in here. Let's give them a little entertainment to watch.
Yeah. What was the what was kind of the atmosphere as far as like during the game? Were Oklahoma and Oklahoma State fans, were they cordial with each other, or was there, could you tense or feel some like tension between the two schools, or were they
It
how
was
what was what because the atmosphere, the game got felt like it was over fairly quickly because Oklahoma jumped out to a 28-point lead, and
Yep.
then after that it was, there wasn't much, but like the lead up, the build, was there, could you see some tension? Did you see any fights in the stands?
Nope, no fights in the stands. I think, because by the time kickoff started, around 6:40, it was completely dark and it was cold. And where we were sitting, we were kind of on the second level of the stadium. So there wasn't anything blocking us from the wind if the wind was coming in from the north. So, and I think, for us, 26 degrees is not bad. We're from Minnesota. People down there, they're not used to that. It was a little cold. And also, I should mention that was really cool. In our seats, where we looked off to our right, we could see the rest of the university and then also the city lights and the skyline from Oklahoma City. Because
Okay.
Norman is just south of Oklahoma City. And kind of, how Kinnick, they have the water tower with the Tiger Hawk logo on there.
Yep.
OU has that too on a water tower, just one of the end zones. So when you're
Okay.
on the field, you look up and you can see the water tower with the OU logo on there. And then we could see the rest of the campus. And like I said, those lights and the skylines from Oklahoma City. So that was really cool. But before the game, no, not a whole lot of tension. Um, not many people yelling at each other. There was a couple OSU fans who tried to say this was the Cowboy State, it's a Cowboy State, but members of the OU band came back and said something like, "Hey, 94-13, because OU has
I
dominated this
I
rivalry so
saw
much."
that. I was
Yeah,
shocked by, I figured
uh,
Oklahoma had a sizable advantage. I did
yeah,
not realize that Oklahoma State's only won 13 times in this game.
13 times in this
That's
game.
that's crazy.
And so that was about as far as much as close to any bad blood there was, but it wasn't, fights in the stands. If you're going to see anything like in the Southeastern Conference, so the fans, they respected each other for a little bit, for the most part, in that game. And then, but it was really cool on the entrance. Kind of like these big schools. Whenever OU scored a touchdown, they had those big flat the lights
Yep.
flickered in the stadium, and that was really cool to see. And that they got a good light show for their entrance. And then, dude, seeing that the Sooner Schooner in
Did it
person,
tip?
it did not tip because actually they widened the wheelbase after the
Oh,
last time it tipped. Because before, all four wheels used to be parallel, but they shift the two back wheels a little bit more, where that so that didn't tip. But they got the ponies out there and their Wreckham crew, as they call it. And after they got up to that 28-0 lead, those ponies they were a little tired.
well, they
I
didn't
don't
have to use it the rest of the game,
they
so
didn't have to use it the rest of the game. No, and I don't think they were used to using it as much this year
no.
compared to years past. And then after every kickoff, the Wreckham crew, they fire off their pistols in the air. So you get that blank gunfire. Just all in all, just a really cool stadium. And it's what college football is supposed to be like. And OU, they're having a bad year at that time. They were 5-5. There were still 84,000 people there strong.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not an
it's
em-
a
not
loyal
not an
loyal fan
empty,
base.
loyal fan base, not an empty seat in the house. And you know what I was most impressed is you didn't hear any negativity from the stands.
Okay.
Oh, Dylan Gabriel sucks. Venables doesn't know what he's doing. This coaching staff sucks. We need a new head coach. Nothing like that. It was funny though, because also, during one of the TV timeouts, they actually showed highlights from across the country on live games that were going on. They showed a highlight from Texas Tech, Iowa State. They showed, Tennessee getting mollywopped by South Carolina. But then they go, and we're going to go to Los Angeles where UCLA is playing USC. Boo. Boo. Yeah, they do not like Lincoln Riley. And
I
they do not like USC. They're in Norman because they
huh.
feel like he left them high and dry.
Little bit of scars, a little still fresh there. I suppose. But
Oh yeah. And because it was after Bedlam last year, the day
yep.
after when he just kind of said, "Oh hey, by the way, I'm going to USC. See you guys."
Well, and I think he planned on staying until they lost, and then he said, "I'm bolting."
Well, yeah, I mean, because people always thought he was going to LSU,
Yep.
and then I think they lost, and USC came and said, "Hey, you can live in Southern California and make $120 million over 10 years, and you can really be a big fish in a small pond in this conference compared to going to the Southeastern Conference." And he said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
And you got to think also, knowing that we're in the world we live in with college athletics being the transfer portal, where he knew, I could get Caleb Williams and I could get all these other guys that want to come play for me, where this rebuild won't have to seem as bad because I could just get better players than everyone else.